Well, hey guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to the stream and another chapter. I believe it's chapter 5. Chapter 5, working on this guy right there. That's our Batwing by Batman. By Batman? No, it's by AMT from the movie Batman from 1989 with Michael Keaton. We're gonna run the intro. We'll get started. Okay, we're back, and we're going to continue on the build. So, as you guys might see, or maybe you can't, but voila! We have a gray Batwing. Yes, like I said, last time, I would primer this thing gray, and so we have a gray Batwing right now. Showing off all the little flaws and the little wrong details. Well, I don't know about wrong details, but all the little things like gaps and things like that I had to put a little putty in and fix. Little steps and stuff like that in the two fuselage halves that needed to be sanded down and smoothed out a little bit to kind of hide the gaps. Yes, all done. Huge parting lines along the wings here, which I've just turned into a panel line, really. Just a little bit of a line there. Had to do a bunch of sanding on his little tip here and fill in some gap in front of the Gatling gun there. Little things like that, right? But she's primed, she's ready for some color. Because, you know, as nice as it is to have a light gray Batwing that looks, you can see all the detail on it, it's not supposed to be light gray, is it? No. So, what color is it supposed to be? Well, it's supposed to be black. The instructions call you to paint it a dark gray, excuse me. But I don't want to do dark gray. Excuse me. But what I want to do is Nato black. Nato black is a color that is almost black, but it's not quite black. And it's going to suit our purposes perfectly. Because it's not quite black, it will allow for things like, black panel liner. Black panel liner will do good on it. I'll open up our jar here, and there you go. That is the color right there. It looks black on the camera, doesn't it? It looks very black. So this is already thinned. I have this thinned out from previous projects. So I'm going to be using my GS, what is this one? This one is the 290, PS 290 from Mr. Hobby. Yep, I'm going to use that one. Trigger style. It sprays a nice like flat pattern that you would see in like a real, like an air gun that you might see somebody painting a car with. It sprays in a pattern like that, where normal airbrush like this guy, he sprays a pattern that's kind of like a circle, right? So if I were to go psh, there'd be like a circle pattern. This sprays like a fan, like that. Like it would be a line, psh, and you go like that, and you make a fan like that. So yeah. The other thing I did was I worked on our little base. Okay. Now remember last time I showed you this base, how I had painted it, and it was really wobbly. It just wobbles back and forth. I have cured that problem. It doesn't wobble now. It's nice and solid. Although there's a big gap at the front and the back here. But so what I did is I put in a couple of, just a big couple of blocks of styrene underneath, like that, and to keep it from wobbling back and forth. Now that's huge, right? That's a huge, like look, it's almost as tall as my finger, right? Like that's a big block because that's how warped this thing is. And I actually look at it, I can actually see the warp in the bottom, in the very bottom of it. You might be able to see it on the camera if I get it at the right angle, but it's really warped. I didn't want to try using heat because I didn't want to risk making it look strange when it's been, you know, stretched out. So rather than doing that, I just put some blocks in there, trimmed them down until it wasn't moving anymore, and so now it's solid. and it's just ready. I'll paint those black so that they're never seen, they're never noticed, and yeah, it'll look fine. It'll look fine. Okay, let's get some paint in our airbrush, and let's get painting on this guy. Fill the cup up about halfway, and we'll see. This particular airbrush has a pretty big cup on it too. It takes a lot of paint because it actually sprays. It sprays a lot of paint at the same time too. Okay, I have my other camera set up. We'll see if it works. Hopefully it works. Yeah, let's get to our painting cam here. Okay. Yeah, here we are. Okay. So, I think, you know me, I always like to start by painting the bottom first. So we'll set her down like that. She's resting on her wings pretty good. So, we'll test spray. And I got nothing. Why are we not spraying at all? It's not spraying at all. I got no spray. Houston, we have a problem. Let's go back here. Okay, I got a problem. I'm not getting any paint coming out. Okay, I'm gonna do a test spray here before we change the camera. Yeah, we got some color coming out this time. Let's change this back. All right, here we are again. On it level. Okay. All right, let's go. Okay, so got that done. I've got to get some different angles in here. Things I can't get at some angles, so I gotta go over it again. I'm gonna go a little slower so it's more of a wet coat. Get it here, I need to come back. I can get it here. That one. All right. Right now, that one just looks like really, really dark gray. And that's kind of perfect. That's kind of perfect. That one looks kind of just super dark gray. Now, another thing that we need to worry about is our little clamp in here. I'm going to pull that clamp out so that I can paint it. See if I can get it here. There we go. He's got to come out. He needs a little paint on him. And like I mentioned before, he has a tendency to bring some of that grease out. So I'm just going to wipe that down a little bit. So he's got some of that white primer on, or not white, the gray primer. So just do that. Give a little bit of love there. And just let's double check my... This side is looking... I'm almost ready to say this side is done. Okay. The camera makes it look like a lot lighter gray than it really is, but it is pretty dark. And if I really felt like it's not black enough, I could do a light coat of black over it, just kind of a, I'd say like a mist coat, or maybe I could utilize some shadows in there. But it is actually an extremely dark gray. This camera does a little bit better showing just how dark it is, which kind of, you know, it's very similar to that there, you know, that there, very similar. It's just not like in the picture it looks a little more shiny, but you know, typical to me at paint, this is already dry to the touch, so we can flip it over. As long as I don't move it around and scratch it, this should be good enough and should be all right to sit down and to paint. I just noticed I got to catch the very tips of these fins here. If I turn over these fins here underneath, I got to kind of hit those just on their edges a little bit. Which I'm going to hold this up real quick and just kind of give them a little bit of love there. Okay, yeah, that looks better. Okay, so let's put them down like so, and I'm gonna do just a little tip of his little claw at the beginning, at the front here. Good enough. Just so that I can tuck it back under like that. Okay, let's switch the camera back and let's do the top side. Wrong one. There we go. All right. So let's start with this side. You'll notice I'm doing the edge first, because the edge is kind of hard to get at. It's hard to tell the edges later on. So if I do them first, I know we're done. I just ran out of paint, so like I mentioned before, this thing uses a lot of paint. This particular airbrush has got a 0.5 needle in it, and the trigger action on it lets a lot of paint come out. So it uses a lot, to say the least. It uses a lot, which is good. I've got another bottle. I got another bottle of Nato black if I do run out here, so that won't be a problem. My other bottle just has not been thinned, that's all. But I got lots of paint thinner, so we're not gonna have an issue. It just means it'll take a little longer. But I got half a cup, so it's probably good enough. Okay, but turn around, because there are angles I just can't get at from this side of it. All these little pins, it's a little bit hard to get in them. Ran out. So, having just ran out, I need to grab this jar, and we need to open it up. It's an almost full jar. I'm going to add, I'm going to pour what's left of this into this one, including my little ball bearing that I keep in my paints. Okay. And we're going to thin this out. I'm going to grab some clean thinner, and we're going to clean this one out. Clean it out, not clean it out. We're going to add maybe 2 full pipettes full. Yeah, makes the jar almost full. So this makes it about, I want to say, Not quite 50-50, but close. She needs a good shaking, because this one's been sitting for a while, and who knows how long it's been sitting on the shelf. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It may have been sitting on the shelf for a long time. Could have been sitting in a Tamiya warehouse for 6 months or a year, I don't know, before they finally shipped it out to a store. Okay, we're nice and thin. Let's pour this in. I feel like just pouring it, it didn't seem like it's quite as thin as I would like. But it might be okay. I think we're going to be okay. 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 Let's just do a test. Spray. She's spraying, so she did. Catch some areas that I missed. I had to catch some panelings in here that I couldn't get into before. I think we might be done. Almost. Okay. I think I'm ready to call this done. Yes, we have a very flat Nato black Batwing. So I'm going to spend the next little bit cleaning up my airbrush. Pour the remainder back in here. Oops. Don't drip on there. That's not good. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's nasty looking. It's a good thing I got I think I got like 5 of these sheets. Plus I can always flip it over. Okay, so I'm going to take a Sharpie. Now that this is thinned, I like to put a little T on there so that I know it's been thinned out. So that if I need to do some brush painting with it, then I know what to look out for. Because I usually like to have two versions of paints. One that's thinned and one that's normal. And then I'll use the normal one for brush painting, and then use the thin one obviously for airbrushing. So I'm going to spend the next little while cleaning up my airbrush. You guys watching my live, you get to suffer through it. You guys who are watching me on YouTube, you don't have to suffer through it. Alright, so with the airbrush clean, we can go back to our subject here. He feels a bit rough because, you know, the paint dries, it's got a little bit of tackiness to it, it gets more layers, and it feels rough, and I get overspray kind of thing. So how do I cure that? I just give it a little bit of a wipe down with a cloth, and basically it's also acting like sanding, and it'll get it smooth. It's going to create a weird little streaky pattern to it, but that's perfect. I'll just do it in the same direction as flight would happen, and now that's feeling smooth, just like that. So basically it's like sanding it down, but with a paper towel. I'm using a paper towel as if it's sandpaper. The only thing you need to do is kind of be careful of your details. Little things like the gun sticking out. You don't want to catch it on a fin and rip the fin off or anything like that. So you got to be a little bit careful with it. Okay. Just feeling around, make sure, yes, it is smooth. If it's smooth, then I did my job. Good. Try and get in all the cracks and crevices with it, because who knows where overspray happened. And that's basically what it is it's overspray. Overspray that's gone onto the paint, it's stuck there and dried. And I get this a lot, especially with my flat colors. And that's what this is, it's flat, right? So of course the wings we can get away with a nice little rough pattern. You can see over here the dust from it, from the overspray coming off as I rub it out. Yes, much better. Okay, let's get in here. All right. In the end, I am going to give this thing a flat clear coat, so I won't have to worry about that. Won't have to worry about anything else, but that will be after doing some panel lining and stuff like that. There's not going to be any decals going on this, although there are some decals in the kit. I don't like them. I don't think Batman would bother putting marking decals on his airplane. He's not working at an airport. He doesn't land this thing at an airport. He doesn't need marker lights and stuff like that, which is kind of funny that they would put them on it. I don't think Batman would have marker lights on his airplane. He's trying to be not seen for the most part. It's kind of hard to sneak up on criminals if you got red and green lights flashing on your wings. Okay, there we go. She's feeling a much more smooth and looking pretty cool. Okay, so I mentioned a clear coat. What was I talking about? Well, I want to do a clear coat, but after doing some panel lining. I think panel lining is definitely in order, because panel lining is going to bring out the black, because the panel liner's actually black. Let me change the camera and we'll have a look here. Okay. So it's just Tamiya black panel liner. Okay. The camera will focus on it. There you go. Panel liner black. There's all kinds of things I could use. I have other things. I've got like Mr. Color stuff and things like that. But I think the Tamiya is gonna look pretty good. We'll put some in here. See how this looks. I can run it all along in here. In this grid. I'm almost tempted just to grab another brush and just brush it all in there. This stuff all cleans up with white spirits. What this stuff doesn't do very well is clean up on flat colors, and that's going to be my biggest issue with it. But that's okay. Things like this, I can utilize this for details like in here, and kind of act as a little bit of a shadow kind of thing. especially because it does kind of absorb into the paint a little bit. We'll do that on this side too with our lines. Don't know exactly what this grid's supposed to be. I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all, actually. No idea. Let's put it along our little grid here. Okay. Let's put it in here on our little guns. I didn't mean for it to drop there, but that's okay. We can kind of smear that out a little bit. Okay, so our little machine gun in here. I want to, even though I am going to be painting the machine gun a different color, I can still utilize the black as kind of a shadow. My paint is actually absorbing it very well as far as hiding any signs of blackness, except for this and this. So I've got a little too much and it's seeped out around here, but that's okay because we can clean it up. Again, we can clean it up with white spirits. What are white spirits? White spirit is just a type of enamel thinner. So normally you guys see me clean up stuff with lacquer thinner. Well, that's white spirit is an enamel thinner. So because this is still kind of damp, I'm going to just kind of wipe this down a little bit. As you can see, some's coming off just on the cloth, and that's perfect. It will come off even more if I dip some white spirit into it. You'll see what I mean. So let's take this, okay? I'll show you. I'll take a Q-tip. Okay, I can take a Q-tip and dip it in there. So the Q-tip's wet. I'm just going to put that on my paper towel. Wipe this off. You'll see, if I wipe this on here a little bit, my Q-tip is black suddenly. Why? Because it's absorbing, it's cleaning up the paint. It's cleaning up, it's not taking off the, it's not taking up the Nato black, it's only taking up the panel liner. And yes, it is soaking in and it's making it wet, but it's that will dry and will look better. Okay, so that's done. Let's grab, I promised you guys that I would show you some brush painting. So, gunmetal. I want my gunmetal. That is LP19. Let's mix this up. And let's paint our guns with gun metal. Gun metal on our Gatling gun. A lot of times in the movies you see the Gatling guns there, they're kind of just plain black. But I don't think they're like that in real life. I want to do our machine gun barrels in gunmetal also. Just so these stand out a little bit. Okay. And there we go. And we've got our little gun, our little barrels here. There we go. And that's pretty much all the painting detail that needs to be done on this plane. There really isn't anything else. Okay, so let me clean up my brush and we're going to call this a day. Okay, let's put this down like so. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think actually a semi-gloss would look better on this plane, simply because Batman doesn't really usually go with a flat black color. It's usually got some kind of a shininess to it. And this is looking just a little too flat. I think it should have a little bit of a sheen to it. So I think a semi-gloss is going to be better for it. So I've got a semi-gloss. I've got Mr. Hobby. Where are we here? Mr. Hobby, I got a semi-gloss over here, right here. Got a semi-gloss spray, but at the same time it kind of feels like it's almost empty. But I think I've got enough to do the top. I think I got enough to do the top. I think I got enough to do the top. Nope. Okay, that's that. And that's that. I think I've got another one somewhere. I'm going to have to hunt for it. But that is where I'm going to leave it for today. And actually, yeah, that might be it for the series. I don't know. We'll see. No, we're not going to do it for the series. Next time is going to be a very short video. It's going to be peeling off the masking tape and see how she looks underneath. Okay, guys? I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget, we're going to do one more, but it's going to be a short one. It's going to be short, okay? Thank you for watching. Thanks for all the support. Check out the links below. Hit the like and subscribe button. Don't forget about that stuff. We'll see you all in the next one.